Hey folks, it's Blair here. Today on the Year Ones, we're chatting with Hannah Permell. And in her year one, Hannah works as a growth marketer at Growclass, which is a boutique marketing training company. She started as a digital marketing intern and has since been promoted to associate growth marketer and is now working as a growth marketer. And Hannah will tell us all about that. She loves connecting with people through her marketing superpowers of email marketing, copywriting, and community management. So put aside those distractions, get ready to think about how these insights and tips can help you. And let's welcome Hannah by asking the dreaded, tell us about yourself question.
Hello, everyone. It's really great to be here. As Blair just said, my name is Hannah Permell. I am a growth marketer at a small startup in Toronto called Growclass. So we're basically just an online course that teaches growth marketing skills to founders, marketers, and entrepreneurs. I don't actually do any teaching in this course. I primarily focus on acquisition and retention. So I own channels like email marketing and community management. That's what I focus on.
Awesome. So before telling us a bit more about some of the actual marketing work, tell us just a little bit more about Growclass. So it's still a startup in the learning space. What are the courses that it teaches, and I don't know, how big is it? A little bit more about the background, that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we have a few different courses that we offer. Our main one is the growth marketing one. In there, we have a bunch of modules on paid ads, so Facebook, Google ads. We have SEO, email marketing, copywriting, customer psychology, experimental marketing, and we even have a little bit on AI. So all those modules are also broken out into their own specific courses. So you can do a little mini course on anything that I just mentioned. And then we have like a writing circle that you can join. We have a bunch of offerings. We even did a Google Analytics 4 course over the summer. But yeah, our bread and butter is pretty much the growth marketing course. That's what everyone comes to us for the most part.
And is it people who are who are the customers?
Yeah, so founders, anyone who's starting business for the first time looking to grow. Marketers looking to expand their skills or pivot into growth marketing. And then entrepreneurs, we have a lot of freelancers as well who are like ended up doing marketing things and they aren't really sure how to help companies grow their businesses. They want to build their confidence. So they take Growclass just to level up their skills.
Awesome. Now let's get a little bit more into the marketing piece. So you talked about acquisition and retention, and maybe I guess before jumping into that, like what is a growth marketer? What's a typical week like for what you do?
So for me as a growth marketer with the channels that I own, every week looks a little bit differently. So on the community front, I will be hosting webinars. So we have guest speakers come in to teach things like social media marketing, or maybe like how to quiet your inner critic, like certain things that are not necessarily professional. Sometimes it might be personal growth as well. So on both ends, we try to make sure everyone has like a holistic learning experience. And yeah, we have accountability sessions, co-working sessions, mastermind jams. So I host things like that for the community to come together. And then on the email front, depending on what time of the year it is, if we're having an enrollment or not, I might be doing external emails. So that can look like outreach to get new speakers to come in, or sales emails to acquire new students. I help write a bi-weekly newsletter that goes out every other week. And then there's internal emails. So people who are already in the course, I'll have an email funnel just to guide them along. And community events emails, let them know what's happening each week. So it can be either one of those things that I'm working on, and then there's occasions where I'm like writing ad copies if we have ads up, or writing a landing page, creating a lead magnet. It can be very different depending on what's happening in the ecosphere. So yeah, every week looks different for me, and that keeps it fun because there's always something new to do, and can't really get bored.
Is there a part of it that you enjoy? Like, what do you enjoy doing most out of those different aspects? Because you mentioned some of it is working with the, I guess, existing learners in the community once they're taking the course or courses, and then some of it is getting new people into that community. Yeah, what do you enjoy the most out of the role?
I think my favorite thing about this job is the people that I get to meet because I am on these calls all the time. I'm meeting people from all over Canada, from the US, some people are even in the UK. We had a person from Australia. So building those connections with people, getting to learn what they do in different aspects of marketing or the companies that they founded, what they do as freelancers, building those relationships, learning what people do. I love connecting. So my favorite thing is jumping on calls with people and seeing them on face to face on Zoom.
So, Hannah, tell us a bit more about just how you do email marketing for someone who might be interested in email, but doesn't really know kind of what it's about.
Yeah, so we use this email service provider called Auto. So on there, I'm able to build my lists. Like I mentioned, I have external emails that go out and internal emails. So it's really all about segmenting your lists really well so you don't send emails to the wrong people. Building your list is a whole other different conversation because you may have like lead magnets that you use to send people valuable items so that they give you their email, sign up for your email list. And that's how you get them on there. And then you can send them emails. So that can look like something on your website, like a video or maybe even a guide that you are giving people to download. So building your list is a different conversation, but email marketing itself, it's a big it's a big industry. Definitely something that I've been lucky to learn because I wanted to learn how to write was primarily what I wanted to focus on. And through that, I was able to own this channel of email. And yeah, so that's how I pretty much got into it.
Do you handle all of the email marketing for Growclass?
Yeah, for the most part, I own this channel. So I will get obviously sign off on the things that I'm doing, but sales emails and internal emails, they're coming from Hannah at Growclass.
Nice. Now, aside from the email marketing software, is there any other essential software that you use in this role or that a growth marketer might use in general that you kind of would know about?
Yeah, so I can speak for myself. The tools that I use, Zoom is a big one. I use Autopilot, like I mentioned. Auto is a new name of it. They rebranded recently. I get my analytics in there as well from my emails. Google Analytics 4. I use Slack. That's what our community is based on, so I'm always in there. I feel like I'm missing a few. Zapier, I use that to connect apps so they all talk to each other and automate stuff. Google Drive is a big one, so I write all my drafts in there. We can have forums in there as well for people to have surveys in there as well. Luma, we host all our events on Luma. Yeah, it's pretty much all I can think of off the top of my head. I know I'm missing some, but those are like the main few that I can't live without. Yeah.
Got it. And so we've got a little bit of the technical side of things. What about like the essential human skills for the role in growth marketing? And you mentioned community a fair amount as well. What are some of the critical human skills you lean into?
I think empathy is a huge one. Just being able to understand like where people are at, what problems they're worried about, what they're scared of, what they're facing currently, and being able to see how you can help solve their problems, meeting them where they're at, and being able to offer help so that it's obviously a mutual thing because you want people to take a desired action, but you need to have empathy to be able to relate to them and to be able to help them through their issues through your like product or service, and that's how you connect to people. So empathy, I would say, is a huge one.
Do you find working, you mentioned, I think, Slack as having the community channel. Are members of the community pretty open to sharing that? Like, do you, in managing and seeing what people are talking about, kind of hear about it kind of online, or do you have to dig for it?
I think we're really lucky in the way that we've been able to build this community. Our members are so open to helping one another. We have like a wins channel where people share their accomplishments all the time. And we have like the questions channel where people ask for help. And in certain sessions that I host, like accountability sessions, for example, or mastermind jams, or we have solo marketers club, we open the floor as well for like anyone who's struggling with anything. needs help or wants feedback, like here's an open, safe space for you to come forward and put your hand up. And it's just honestly so heartwarming to see other people who've been in the positions that people who are asking for help have been in come forward and be like, hey, like I've been there, I know what you're going through, like I can help. If I can't help, then I will put you in contact with someone who I know who can. So yeah, I definitely think we've been really lucky to have really great people in our community. It goes to show that, empathy goes a long way. So if you can spread a little bit more love, then you get it in return. And it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that it's not just it's something that is important for you to do, but also in the way that it's set up, members of the community are empowered to support each other. Like that's what I guess community is, like duh,
Yeah.
but are empowered to do that as well and feel like they can jump in. And it's not just like, oh, I'm here to learn and then leave and take, like, oh, there's a webinar, I'm just going to sit and listen. It's interacting back with people to help them, especially when there's some of those challenging things.
It's very wholesome to see. I'm very lucky.
Nice. So let's sort of talk a little bit more about what keeps you up at night, or what's on your mind about marketing right now.
Okay. Yeah, if you asked me this question a few weeks ago, a few months ago, I definitely would have said AI.
Okay.
I
You're
know.
going to give us something different. Nice. All right.
Yeah. Well, I still feel like it is something that is top of mind that I have to you have to keep an eye on, because it's like progressing so quickly. Because I still am trying to understand the way that the programming works of it. So it's like certain things I'm like not aware of, but through my use of it and like the webinars that I've been to, like the newsletters that I've read, it seems like it can't create anything out of nothing, like only the things that you feed it. So I'm not worried about it in that sense, because I know that humans have an innate ability to like use our imagination to create things out of nothing, and like to be able to tell stories and like generate like human connection. So I think on that front, I'm not worried about AI, because I don't think it can replicate that. It is interesting to see where things go from where it's at right now, because obviously it's changing the industry, like with search, so SEO and stuff like that. So definitely keeping an eye on it. A little bit worried when I first heard about it, because like I write for a living, so I really hope that AI wasn't going to come in and take my job like everyone was saying. So yeah, that was one thing that was on the radar for sure.
Have you found that it is you're at a point where it's starting to complement what you're doing, especially on the writing side of things,
Yeah,
as a helper, as a tool?
I would definitely say like I'm leaning more into, not, instead of being afraid of it, using it as a tool. So like if I'm stuck on like a draft or something, plopping something into ChatGPT or Copy AI or whatever it is, like just to get you from that white page to having something on the page, so that you can go in and add your touches to it and rip it up and put it back together. So it's definitely a great tool to help facilitate copywriting for sure, but not to like do everything for you, like it's definitely not, it's
not necessarily come up with the idea or the base of what you kind of, the foundation for what you want to go from, but once you've got that, it can help with some of the structure.
Helps get you unstuck is what I would say.
There you go. That's a great hot take there for AI.
Yeah.
So let's maybe shift gears a bit and look back to getting to your day one as a marketer. And can you, I guess, start by telling us a little bit more about your job search journey, how you discovered and got, I guess, to Growclass, but kind of those points to get there.
Okay, yeah. Well, I actually graduated from my postgrad in 2020, which we all know was a fun time to be alive. The world was turned upside down, and I think a lot of people were out of work at the time. So it was really hard to get opportunities, because every job that was posted, there would be like hundreds of people, very similar to today's atmosphere, actually, where hundreds of people are like applying to one job. So yeah, it was tough. I remember I had my internship to graduate the program that I was in at George Brown for digital marketing. And I came out of that without a job after, and feeling like I didn't have enough skills to get an actual job, because every entry-level job wanted like 3 to 5 years experience, which oh, that sucks, but it is what it is, right? Like, so yeah, I was just trying to like create opportunities for myself while I was searching for a job. So I was helping like my sister. She had like a wellness website that she wanted to do life coaching, so I would help her digital marketing there. My brother-in-law had like a construction company that he had, so I was doing digital marketing for them, just to like get stuff on my resume to like build up that experience, and I can talk about those things in interviews. And then I was still looking because I felt like I didn't have enough to get my foot in the door for a job. And one of my professors actually retweeted a link to the internship that my current boss tweeted. And I was like, oh, this looks great. Like, this feels aligned. Like, I can learn so much here. This looks like a great company. I was like, all right, I'm going to shoot my shot. So I did it. I was lucky enough to to get in because there was two positions available, two intern positions, and there was over 400 people who applied for the role. So I was just, being cheeky with like my copy and like the things that I was doing to just try and stand out from the competition. And I was lucky enough to land the internship role, and then here I am today as a growth marketer at Growclass. Yeah.
So, and let's maybe go talk a little bit more about that. So, a bit of the progression. When you started as an intern,
Yeah.
what was the work like, and then how has it evolved to the role of growth marketer now? Like, what were some of those kind of starting points and the big changes along the way?
So starting off as an intern, I feel like the main focus was just to learn as much as possible, like as quickly as possible for me. So there wasn't really any high expectations placed on me. So the work wasn't anything that was high stakes. Pretty entry level, just here to learn. And then as I started like taking on more tasks and completing them and showing my value, that's when I got hired on full time as an associate growth marketer. And then with that, I got a little bit more responsibility and in my tasks, and kind of like was sit down and was like, okay, what channels are you interested in learning more about? Like, what are your goals? That kind of stuff. And then obviously I said like copywriting, community, those kind of things. And then with time, as I was able to like show my responsibility and like get my tasks done, suddenly I started to like master those channels and like didn't need as much oversight. And then that's when the promotion to like growth marketer came, because it was like I'm suddenly able to do more things on my own, not needing any as much help as I did when I was an associate or an intern. So yeah.
And when you started as the intern, like, were you always focused on email channel, like the ones you're talking about, email channel, community, or sometimes advertising, or did you do more and then start to go, yeah, you know what, I really want to do this? Like, did it start broad and you narrowed it down, or was it always this just with less oversight and more accountability as you progressed?
It was more broad when I first started out, because it was kind of just like I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. So I wanted to have my hands in a little bit of everything. So I was just trying to learn anything that I was given. And then with that, it was kind of like, all right, sit down, think about where you want to progress your career. And then when I was thinking about the skills that I wanted to learn, as I mentioned, copywriting and like community building, stuff like that, that's when it was like, all right, as associate growth manager, suddenly you're going to have responsibilities in these two channels. And then suddenly I started to own them more and more and more. And then here I am today.
Nice. So what about, and you might have alluded to this, but because it was a time in, I guess, the early part of the global pandemic in 2020. So it's tricky, but what was the hardest part of the job search for you as you went through it all?
Honestly, I would say keeping a positive mindset when you're constantly being rejected was the hardest part, because I found that like as a young grad, there was already so much imposter syndrome of like not knowing, feeling like I didn't know enough to get a job. So the constant rejection kind of felt like, oh, you aren't good enough. Like you're not good enough. So having to shift my mindsets and look at it from a different lens, as in like, I didn't get that job because it just wasn't meant for me, or just it wasn't the right fit, rather than I didn't get that job because I wasn't good enough. was like a big switch that I had to make. So there were certain things that I was doing, like reading a lot of self-help books during that time. I could drop a few names. The Alchemist was one, Think and Grow Rich was another one, and The Mountain Is You. Like those certain books like that, those are the ones that I was reading just to get my headspace in like a better sense, get in a better headspace so that I can keep climbing the mountain, because it does feel like a hard trek. Like it's like you're pushing a boulder up a hill pretty much. So being able to handle rejection definitely was the hardest part.
Yep. It's like using the mountain. It's like it's a climb, and then sometimes you get a plateau, and you're like, okay, and then you look, it's like, oh no, there's a little bit more, and then it's
Yeah.
some points there. I just actually you maybe as a bit of a, I don't know if something you mentioned earlier about applying, looking at jobs and seeing these jobs that were asking for a little bit of experience, but they're entry level. Like, do you do you do you I don't know how to frame this. Like, do you think that companies could do a better job of like really saying like this is for someone with 0 to 2 years of experience. Like we're looking to develop people. Could they be more overt with it? Is there a different way that someone can search for that? Like, because I hear this often. It's like, oh, it's frustrating. They're always looking
Yeah.
for like 2 to 3 or 2 to 5 or something. And how do I know if it's really like that first job to get into the door? And I guess maybe with Growclass is an internship, right? So that was kind of the piece there. But yeah, do you think organizations could do a better job of that? Or is there a way that you could kind of give people like, are there tips to how to search for that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think it definitely has to do with like the hiring atmosphere that we're in. Because I find that a lot of companies, it's almost like, they don't really want to spend the time and effort training people. So they would rather have someone who has those 3 to 5 years experience as their entry level in quotations. So maybe that is like having the terminology be different. So if you're looking for someone with 3 to 5 years experience, maybe we need a different term, like a mid-level person, right? Instead of entry level, and keeping entry level for the 0 to 3 year experience, and shifting the salary range and the expectations based on that. I think that would probably make it easier for people to get their foot in the door at least. And then I think there's a lot to say about like training people. The willingness to train people goes a long way, because when someone comes in and they're fresh and they're brand new and they're out of school, they have so much new ideas and like things to contribute to your organization if you are willing to have them, right? So I think it's a trade-off, and it is unfair that a lot of us young professionals are coming into the field having a hard time just even getting entry-level jobs, because like they want you to have experience before you can like get experience. So it's like, how do I get this experience if no one's willing to give me a chance? So
Yeah, I think, you know what? I think my question was like long-winded and rambling on. I think your answer is really awesome, about like that you really need to be willing to invest time to train the person. Like whoever is hiring, there needs to be actual time carved out to do that in the early days, to mentor, train, to get that to, because the person just needs that, before they can, it's like crawling to walking to running. You need someone who can help you do that. So for those sort of year 0 to 2 jobs, training by that employer is an essential part of it. That's a great, I think, great feedback for any of the employers who are listening to this. Okay, so let's go to maybe to another typical job interview question. What is a brand or an organization that you think does good marketing?
Okay. We'll say in the year of the Barbie movie, I have to say Mattel did a really great job with how they marketed everything for Barbie, because it was almost like after coming out of COVID, where everyone was so separated in stagnation, the way that they were able to create a shared human experience of like going to the cinema, everyone is dressed up in pink, because Barbie was everywhere. there was brand collaborations, there was memes, like it was everywhere. And thank goodness the movie lived up to to all the hype, because there was great messaging in there too. But I will acknowledge also that obviously they had a huge marketing budget, and Barbie itself has a big like nostalgia factor to it, because it's been around for 60 years or 100 years or how much ever. But I was so impressed. I loved every moment of it. Mattel, applaud to them. Yeah.
Yeah, they sort of captured the cultural. They capture the culture in at least North America. I don't know what other perspectives are, but for the summer of 2023,
Yeah.
it was it was a great example in launch and how to bring people together, and everybody got behind it, and the product lived up to it. Like
Yes.
it wasn't. It was the actual movie experience was well done.
So well done. It was a Barbie summer for sure. They stole the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Was there a favorite part of the movie for you?
I
Or an
like
aspect of it or something? Yeah.
I like the "I'm Just Ken" song that they did. The breakout. It's like artistic way of critiquing the gender roles in society. So when you look at it from the flip reverse, if Ken was a girl, the way that you like society tends to pit women against one another, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
Barbie did to break up the patriarchy in Kentland. Like I don't know, I like the way that they did everything. They poked fun at stuff without being offensive, in my
Yeah.
opinion at least. And you were able to see things from both sides. So Barbie was able to see things from Ken's side, Ken's able to see things from Barbie's side, because the roles were flipped. So I love how they did everything. Honestly, 10 out of 10. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the writing was so well done. Loved it all around.
I love the little parts where they also kept it true to the toy. Like the like when the toys were when they're getting up in the morning, it's like
Yes.
the getting the breakfast. Everything's empty, but they're
Yes.
still eating it, because it was like the toy didn't have milk in the milk container,
You're
and
using imagination. You're
all
using
of
your
those. It
imagination.
was just like the toy. They were still toys. Like some of those elements were 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 just, it was just clever. Like it was well done overall. So
Yeah, they definitely knew their audience, right? Like she definitely grew up playing with Barbie to know that Barbie doesn't walk down the stairs. She floats out of her dream house into her car,
right,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and you just get it. Like everyone gets it because it's a shared human experience. Like it's so well done.
yeah, totally, yeah. Good on Mattel and Barbie for doing that. Hannah, let's start to talk about some things that you've learned along the way. And I guess another typical interview question is there a time that you made a mistake, or is there a common mistake that you see in the role that you're doing that someone should know about?
Okay, yeah. So one mistake that I made in email marketing, every email marketer knows you gotta test your emails before you send them. So make sure your links work, everything's good. And there was this one time I had to send an email, and it was like for events, and it had a bunch of links in this email. And I sent an email to myself to test it, and everything worked. But there was a glitch in the system for our email service provider that day. So I send out my email thinking everything's fine, and then suddenly I start getting replies or like none of these links work, and like some people were being a little sassy on there, and I start freaking out. I'm like, oh no, you were joking me. I just sent this email to our entire list. So yeah, I had to like let the team know, hey y'all, this is what's happening. I messed up. And then luckily, like I have a great team, so my manager's like, all right, take a moment, step away from your laptop, like take a deep breath, and come back. So I came back, and I'm like, all right, we gotta write this apology email now. Luckily, it was around the same time that Adele had just dropped her album, so there was this one song where she goes like, "Go easy on me," and I used the lyrics from that song to like write the copy for my apology email. And it ended up being a success. Like people loved it, and I ended up getting more open rates, higher open rates, and more replies of people saying, "Oh my goodness, like this is so great, like great job," or like I'm using this as inspiration for my next like mess up, things like that. So it ended up being a way to turn like almost like a failure into a win. So thankfully it worked out okay, and it was a great way to turn that around. But yeah, one mistake I do see people making is that sometimes emails, you gotta check those links, check the links.
The devil is in the
happened to
details.
me. Yeah, it happened to me. It can happen to anyone. Sometimes it's just not even your fault. So don't be too hard on yourself when things like that happen. Make sure you take a step back, take a deep breath. It's just marketing at the end of the day. We're not like saving lives over here. Anything can be fixed. So yeah.
Nice. I think, you know what, just shout out to whoever your boss or your manager was there for actually like saying, you know what, like just take a step back for a bit.
Yeah.
We'll sort, instead of like, okay, what are you going to do about like creating a bit of space, because
Yes.
you obviously, and share it, like you obviously felt bad, and creating that space, and then seeing how you responded to that by leveraging something that was smart in what was current to
Yeah.
tell that story. So yeah, even in like, we often in the moment try to like jump right on it, but that, I feel like shout out to whoever your boss was to say like, okay, pump the brakes, let's just give it a sec.
Yeah. Thank goodness. I'm very grateful to be on this team, honestly.
Yeah, you can tell you enjoy what you're doing, and it sounds like sometimes we've talked to folks who have worked in, like, we've had someone who was a team of one, and that was how they position themselves, and your team sounds small, and
Yeah.
In smaller organizations, you hear, and there can be a more of like a kind of a frantic, like everybody's doing all the things and you're stretched and chasing it all. But to hear that there's like thoughtfulness, and then there's empathy all
Yeah.
around, because yeah, like you said, you're not saving lives. It's just an email with a couple of busted links. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
So what is a important lesson that you learned in your year one, other than check your links?
Yeah.
Something good, something not so good, or like something surprising or unexpected?
I guess, yeah, just based on even the last story I just shared, like failure is feedback. So, there's so much to learn in making mistakes, because I feel like a lot of the times we think we have to get something right the first time, or like so much is expected of us, when really and truly, we're all just people at the end of the day. So don't be afraid to like swing and miss. Take that as feedback and learn from it and apply it to make yourself like a stronger, better person. Yeah.
Nice. And one final question here, Hannah. So I noticed on your LinkedIn, your current profile has a quote that says, "There's no elevator to success. You must take the stairs."
Yeah.
Tell us about why this quote resonates with you, and why you chose to put it so publicly on your LinkedIn profile.
Oh yeah, I feel like, I don't know, in today's day and age of like social media, I feel like a lot of people want things quick and easy, like the quick and easy wins. But I found that nothing worth having comes easy. Like a lot of the times, it's the things that you work hard for that you're most proud of and make you into like the person that you are. So don't be afraid. Like, don't be afraid to take the long road. Like sometimes people think, oh, when I'm at the age of 30, I should have the house and the car and the kids. But there's nothing wrong with being 30 and like just living your life as a single person. Like so it's just a way of me framing my mental like state of mind, to know that I don't have to follow like the path that was set out for me. I can do my own thing. I can take the stairs rather than taking the elevator. Just because everyone's taking the elevator doesn't mean I have to take it too. Yeah, just yeah, a little mental note to myself.
Yeah. And taking the stairs is generally healthier, right? So
Yeah, there you go. You're
whatever
filling
that's
up.
worth, it's generally healthier for us. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And for all of your insights, Hannah. It was wonderful to chat with you. Thanks for investing your time with the Year One community. Before we sign off, let people know where they can find out more about you, if you share any work online, that sort of thing. What's the best way to connect?
You can find me on LinkedIn at backslash Hannah Permell. Find me on
We'll
LinkedIn.
make sure folks get that in the show notes and everything. So remember, friends, getting a job, any job, isn't easy. Sometimes there are external factors, things like pandemics that you have to deal with. But at the end of the day, you'll climb the mountain. If you take the stairs, you'll get there, whichever way you want to do it. But it's not necessarily easy, but there's definitely a role out there for you. And with good folks like Hannah and myself, we're here to help you get it. So thanks for joining us, and look forward to catching you next time.
Thanks for having me.